the twilight of the gods nears, brother will kill brother. Families will be sundered by murder. 4 ages are afoot. An axe age, a sword age, where shields are cloven. A wind age, a wolf age, where the world falls. No one shall be spared.
Welcome to Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion RPG podcast. Prepare for adventure.
Hey guys, Jim and Kelly here from Ragnarok and Roll, Scion Hero to Ragnarok story.
Hello.
So today is a special day. What is today?
Today is our 5th anniversary.
It is. It is the 5th anniversary from the first podcast episode we did for Ragnarok and Roll.
Yeah.
It's a huge milestone.
I miss Scion.
Yeah, well, that's why I've got the Scion 2nd edition books in your hand here so you can look at them.
Yes, this is.
Did you feel the cover?
Ooh, no.
They got even fancier on the Scion cover. So you've got your hands on Scion Origins.
Yes. So Hero is level 2 now.
Yeah,
so
Scion has broken it down to Origin is like the things touched by the supernatural, and then the hero. So one thing they're doing with Scion now is they're basically, instead of it being the 3 books originally of Hero, Demigod, and God, it's now Scion Origin, which is covering the everything not legend, and it teaches you the game system as a cat goes flying over.
Yep.
To Scion Hero, which has the 4 different types of Scion you can now have.
What?
You can have your regular Scion that is the child of a god. So you have the Born Scion, which is most Scions come from the outcome of a god and a mortal. Human, animal, whatever. That's literally what they say in here. They're getting super loosey-goosey with labels.
No, think of it. Io was impregnated, the cow, then there's the swan, with the shower of gold.
And then you have some examples from the different pantheons. Then you've got created Scion, which are Scions are beings granted godlike abilities even though they hail from origins other than humanity. This can include clouds giving life to a wisp that eventually becomes a god of winds. Or their existence is never easy, however, because they have very little basis of who they are. So they're just created spontaneously. Then you have the Chosen. Yes, the Chosen. Sort of like Ulysses or Odysseus. Some people are gifted or blessed by the gods, even though they have no blood relations. So it's like Odysseus with Athena. He was her chosen champion. So a god can bequeath a person. And of course, the book gives different examples, like, Sigurd, Odin's favorite. She became a Valkyrie. She wasn't born a Valkyrie, but she became a Valkyrie. And then you have Incarnate, which basically is you are the incarnate, or perhaps the oddest of the lot. Gods frequently create mortal avatars, aspects of themselves. So sort of like in the Persian religion, where you had gods creating, avatars of themselves to do special jobs. And then if the avatar was a hero type, he survived and wasn't reabsorbed. And then, of course, in Hero, they do the classic visitation. So one thing that might interest you that is different from the original Hero, it's got the same basic pretense that the gods and the Titans were true. Only difference in Scion, 2nd edition, part of the thing is that more people than not know that the gods exist still. So, that's an example of the 3 sisters. The Morgan bequeath power to mortals, and as long as the oldest females are alive, they become the Weird Sisters.
Mother Maiden Crone, the Norns, the Fates, the
Fenris Arms, a divinely inspired mercenary band. And then I'm looking for a picture that basically in the 2nd edition, which I bet you in our groups we probably wouldn't play, it used that aspect of it at least. We'd probably go back to our old ad hoc system.
I like the original.
Is that the gods basically are still worshipped. So there's still churches of Odin worshippers for the Aesir and Thor worshippers. So Christianity didn't pretty much convert everyone in Europe. So all the different pantheons exist still. So you could have a church. I'm still looking for the picture that has a church.
Yeah, but even in the old, the original Scion, there were, you know...
Well, in second edition, they're blatant about it. That literally in Japan, hanging out on skyscrapers are, you know, tengu that can be seen by everyone. So I, of course, prefer the original version where you had like the Percy Jackson Mist or the Vampire Masquerade, the Veil that kept the supernatural hidden from the non-supes.
Yeah.
So like a fire giant in first edition looked like a burnt up hobo as opposed to... In the new version, people can see the fire giant as a fire giant.
Yeah, it kind of takes the whole
being a creature of legend thing.
Yeah, I mean, out of it, you know, if you do it that way.
Mm-hmm. But one thing that I do think is cool that when you make a character now, you basically will pick paths. Like Scions will have 3 paths. You know, your basically your backstory for your character. One thing in second edition is when you pick guides as one of your birthrights, guides actually have more effect than they did in first edition where it's just this podunk guide you can check in on. You can actually... My
character Trixie had a guide.
Mm-hmm.
It was her mom. Because she was Madame Devora. The fortune teller.
And apparently I've passed it. But one cool thing that you will like is there are 10 pantheons in the base book now for Hero.
Okay.
So we have the Aesir.
Of course.
Of course.
You have to have the originals.
We've got the Devas from India, which they were in the companion book. They're now officially base book. We have, as I flip over, we have the Kami. They've changed the Japanese pantheon to Kami, as opposed to... Right there, same symbol. As opposed to what, you know, we then have the Manitou of the Anishinaabek, the Native American pantheon. So that's now an established part of the system. They've changed the Prehajet to the Netjir of Egypt. And they've given them a kind of facelift for their pantheon. We have the Oasha of...
Yorubaland.
Yeah, Yorubaland.
We apologize
for butchering
the
African pantheon.
Any of these languages.
By the way, you will find interesting that it is the Loa pantheon that has actually been reverted back to the original African pantheon.
As opposed to the voodoo.
It's basically the African pantheons. And believe it or not, Mamiwata is now a god and not a titan. They've reverted her back to her godly goddessness as opposed to an evil titan.
I like that better, actually. Although, I have to admit that was a fun adventure.
Because she does make a great Ursula. As the Freya is barking. But they basically reintroduced the African pantheon, which is cool. With their Caribbean versions of themselves as well, so that we can play either or. Which is really cool. Then we have... a barking dog. The Shin of China. Basically, they've taken the celestial bureaucracy and given them their actual Chinese name, which I thought was cool. And then we got the Teolt of Mehek. I would allow you to pronounce that.
Mexihek. Hold on.
Yep, it's
a
funny
hyphen. Horrible.
Basically, the new version of the Aztec that is not just Aztec, but it's basically all of the Mesoamerican.
Mexihica.
Mexihica?
Mexihica? I mean, because that's the CH. The Teotl.
Teotl of Mexihica.
Like
and they've changed the Greek and Roman gods to the the Greek and Roman gods. I like the way they put that. And the Tuatha are now the actual full-blown Tuatha De Danann of Ireland.
Yeah.
So they've given them the full breakdown, which is cool. And so that you have more options in Scion.
That's cool.
Yeah. And another thing that I do like is they've added more abilities to when you take your boons. There's more ways you can use your boons.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there's...
Well, that's kind of nice because with the different, way you could purchase them with your points, sometimes you'd have a couple people in the party with the same boons.
Mm-hmm. And one thing they did take out is you no longer have epic attributes like you used to back in the day.
I like the epic attributes.
The epic attributes are now blended in with the boons. So the powers. And you have different breakdowns for, in Origin, you have the normal people boons, which, by the way, in that book, you can make werewolves, wolf soldiers, and kitsune.
Oh, kitsune?
The slightly supernatural creatures.
Ah.
I will let you wiggle in your feet because you're right at the microphone while you're doing that.
Oh, sorry.
And so there's lots of wrestling.
I'm just getting comfy.
Apparently. So the nice thing with purviews is you have more options of things you can do and stuff, which is great. And they've got different powers that basically you can activate a power and keep it activated with a point of legend.
Oh.
So that's one of the cool touches. So we definitely have to,
We'll have to do, some mini adventures or something.
Mm-hmm. Make some characters. You can see how the character sheets have changed a lot.
Yeah, they're definitely different.
Skills are more important than everything else. Then you have attributes. And the attributes are still the same: mental, physical, social. And then they basically further codified it that each mental, physical, and social has a power move, a finesse move, and a resilience move. So, stamina is your resilience for physical, or resolve for mental, or composure for social. And then you notice that legend is still there, but it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So you no longer have that weird legend point squared, 4 times 4 to equal 12.
And I don't see willpower.
Do you see the thing called momentum?
Yes, I do.
Momentum is a new mechanic in the system that it's a group mechanic. Sort of like when we played Conan.
Okay.
It's almost the same kind of momentum that if you extra succeed, you can give the group momentum points.
Okay.
So that's a cool game mechanic in the system. And virtue is different because now for each pantheon, you have a good virtue and a bad virtue, and you basically balance between the two.
Instead of the 4 virtues?
Instead of the 4 virtues, yep.
Is this still a D10 system?
It is. It is still the new storyteller system is very similar to the old. The new story path system is similar to the old storyteller system, where you basically will mix a attribute and a skill, roll your D10s and roll it, and 8s and higher are successes. 10s don't double. 10s let you roll an additional dice. And, of course, if you have no successes and a 1, you botched. And some abilities will grant you extra successes, but you still need, just like in Scion, you need that 1 success for the extras to count.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And then, another cool thing here, because I like how they took a bunch of mechanics from different game systems we like Fate, and, a few of the other ones out there. You have deeds. So deeds are things that you want to accomplish. Your short-term deed is something that you're going to accomplish pretty soon. So probably in one game session to hey, get Aunt May a rent money. Just go ahead and get that yawn out.
I just did.
Okay. And then you have your long-term goal, which is something that would probably be tied into in your campaign, you want to do this. And then you have your band deed, which is everyone has the same deed that basically will... If your storyteller's smart.
Unifying goal.
Yeah, that's going to be the team
together.
mechanic to, are we going to beat Thanos and get the Infinity Gauntlet back? Or are we going to stop the Red Skull from getting the Tesseract? Hey, Marvel makes a great one to quote. But the new system is really, really interesting from what I've been reading, mainly because Origin lets you have pre-visitation Scions, which you can then easily turn into a Scion hero. Or you can just use them as podunk, lower level, hunters, supernatural style hunters. Okay.
Yeah, because, I liked the whole coming up with my visitation story. It set a precedent, not a precedent, it set the tone for my Scion. So... I liked that, and I liked writing that story, and it gave me a lot of... I mean, I wrote a lot more stories for my characters, my Scion characters, than
any other character.
I mean, I have backgrounds like for all my D&D characters, of course, and stuff, but nothing like I do for my Scion characters. I have the visitation stories written out. I have stories of Trixie that I don't think have ever been
published. No.
And Val, my original. Oh my God, I've got so many stories for her. Between my interims or that we had done around some of the adventures, and they were just more of a inspiration as opposed to
Mm-hmm. And another thing that they changed in here is fate binding.
Huh.
They've actually made it so at hero level, fate binding will happen more often, but it will be specifically tied to your calling, what kind of fate binding you're attracted to.
Okay.
So, as an example, if you had Freya as your parent, your callings, basically you would pick one of these callings as one of your 3 callings, so your past, present, and future. So your callings would be lover, guardian, or sage. You would pick one of those, and then you pick whether it's super important in your life, bleh in your life, or eh.
Well, considering how my very first Scion character was a Scion of Freya, and she was a libertine, and one of her vices was sex. So I'd say she'd have to go for lover.
Okay. So that's good to know.
Alcohol and sex.
And then, as the fate system works, it's actually more of a player and GM talk about a quick conversation of, okay, your fate binding is coming up. Is this you only fate bind in the new system to storyteller ran NPCs. So it doesn't affect player characters.
Okay, well
that way it gives player agency back to... Because in the old system, you could have fate bindings.
Yeah, but we never really did, because it's more of a...
The dice mechanic never let it happen.
Exactly. So it was always NPCs that we were fate bound to. Mm-hmm. Or dumpster. The dumpster in Chicago.
And of course, you'd have your callings. Let's see. So, lover. As the calling lover. Gods marry, gods fuck, gods cheat on one another. The Pantheons are extended families of parents and scions with complex relationships between members. When those relationships come central to a god or hero's legend, they're a lover. The calling encompasses legendary seductresses and divine cads who also... Yes?
So I was wondering, does this... So like in the original one where you had your... Let's see here. Let me get one of the characters. So, yeah, they don't have where they have your nature and your calling.
Yeah.
Which was your calling was like your job.
Mm-hmm.
And then your nature was like you were the, the Val was the libertine. And trickster or something was,
your virtue
Trixie.
And your...
Yeah. No, virtues were based off of your pantheon. But it was nature and calling.
Yeah.
So calling was like your job, and then your nature was the type of person where like daredevil or, judge or, that type of thing. Yeah. So this new system doesn't have that.
Yeah, the new system has changed it down. So you have... Because before you have your concept, that sentence that is what you are. The one sentence word that explains what your character was. Like...
Yeah, the nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that. I mean, I thought that sort of helped put the ROLE back into role-playing again.
Uh-huh.
Where it's sort of like in D&D 5th edition, you have the personality traits, you have your background, which is your personality traits, your flaws, your bonds, that type of thing. And it gives you sort of a framework to how your character thinks or behaves or is basically leaning to. And so the new Scion doesn't seem to have that.
Well, the new
other than lover or
the second part of your character creation is called paths. At the origin level, you pick a path for your character which establishes their mythical or mortal characteristics that feed directly to your skills. You create 3 paths, each with the following elements. A short description. Each path gives you 3 skills that are associated with it, and connections that might have you to associates, friends, followers, whatever, and consequences. Usually there's a short list that you can pick from consequences. Then you basically, as you pick your 3 paths, you'll basically have your origin, which is your backstory, your upbringing, your role, which is your job or your self-image, and then your society or pantheon if you're a Scion. So, of course, that would be like the god, the pantheon that you belong to, a secret society, like you're men of letters or, a hunter or whatnot. And then you take those 3 things, so you're basically your origin, your current thing, and what you're associated with, and you pick a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary. So you basically classic World of Darkness style, you pick your main, secondary, and your third. Okay, and then after you have that set, that's your backstory. So whichever one you pick is the most important to your character is your main path that you're on. So then, now that you have your paths picked, each path will give you certain skills. So your primary then gets 3 dots for those 3 skills that relate to that primary path. Your secondary gets 2, and then your tertiary gets 1 dot for each of the
sort of
ones.
like how you would assign your epic attributes in the original Scion.
Yep. And then, of course, you come up with attributes pretty much the same way as old school, as you pick your primary, your secondary, and your tertiary. Then you get to calling and knacks, and calling is the archetype you fulfill, sort of like in first edition, your calling. What are you? What's the one sentence people say when she's a libertine dancer, when we're talking Val? So there's a specific list to pick from, and for the callings, because they've kind of basically made it into archetypes. So your choices for calling is creator, guardian, healer, hunter, judge, leader, lover, liminal, sage, trickster, and warrior.
So they've reduced it quite a bit.
But now they've basically made it to smaller, tighter, concise things because they're basically packets. And then, of course, for an origin character, you only get 1 calling. For a Scion character, you'd also get access to the callings of your pantheon as well, so you get multiples. And then, because like in Scion, one of your callings will be your parent. So then you have your knacks, which are your low-level powers, which in Origin, there's no birthright, so your character would spend all their points on knacks. When they become a divinely blessed hero, they actually would have their visitation and be upgraded at that point. The divine ichor would ignite, and they get that upgrade just like in classic Scion. And then you could purchase birthrights then. And one thing I did notice with birthrights now, just, because I haven't read it cover to cover, but skimming through, is there's a lot more stealing of birthrights in the new system, it looks like. As long as you roll really well, you can steal other Scions' birthrights.
See,
And you can find lost relics.
Yeah, well, you could do that in the old one, too.
I know.
You could do both of those in the old one. But, I don't know. I'd probably have to try it from creation to,
Play through a couple making characters.
Just from our conversation, though, I like the original.
I like the original setting myself better, where you had that whole... The supernatural is hidden from mundane eyes, except for the occasional special mortals.
Well, and I like the way they had set it up with the epic attributes and the knacks and the birthrights and stuff. Although I must say, it's nice to have the larger pantheon, the larger pantheons in the. I'll have to, of course, peruse the descriptions of the gods and stuff, and
now that there's the momentum ability. Unfortunately, it does mean they lost the battle wheel, which was a mechanic I really love, which is the
like
weapon
the
speed.
battle wheel.
But we do know a bunch of people who mini-maxed on weapons and things for the battle wheel, so that may be why they took it out.
That's true.
Because everybody put points
I'm not a
into
min-maxer
speed.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen... once it depends. I always create my character based off the character as opposed to like Val. Her weapon was a blade.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was never fast.
And one thing in Origin I noticed when reading through is there's actually the ability to make magic items. As opposed to in Scion, only your Greek pantheon could use the arte. So that should be interesting. That players will actually be able to go play Monster Hunter and find bits and make things. Come on, that would be fun.
Lessons of the Forge. Shadow my divinity. Oh no, wrong. Sorry, it's my
wrong game.
Wrong game. It's my new cleric, dwarf cleric, the cleric of the Forge.
And of course, they've added new purviews. They've got judge, leader, sage, all these different things that they've added into it. And they actually have a mechanic similar to Edge of Empire, where you have your light side, dark side destiny points.
Oh.
It's interesting. The storyteller will have some points that he can use. And do you know what he can do?
What can he do?
He can actually cash in some of his points to upgrade villains that you've run into, to upgrade the villain with new abilities.
Oh.
So you could have that mortal bad guy that gets away that he basically can then upgrade into a slightly better bad guy for later on. One thing I did notice is in the creating of NPCs and antagonists, they've kind of made a lot more work for the game master, the storyteller. I've got to keep saying the right thing, storyteller. In that you build your villains. So you start with a basic template, which would be like goon or cop or soldier, and then you add abilities to them to bulk them up, basically. So you could then, they have an ability like Shadow Step, that basically if someone has that, cooldown is the end of scene. So you're back, say you're making a human ninja that has Shadow Step. The antagonist is able to reestablish stealth during combat, allowing him to make a surprise attack on her next turn. She must still succeed at a stealth roll in order to do so. This flair simply makes it possible. So you have little things that you can add to your characters and your monsters. So, of course, the archetypes that you'd have would be a foe, then a rival, then a nemesis. Sort of like in, I know it's Edge of Empire, how they have the different ranks. So, like, a nemesis is a character that will likely go after rival players. Because nemesis.
Sort of like some of the ones that Val had run in with.
Yeah, and how they slowly upgrade. And of course, they've got archetypes like vampires, and they keep it loose, so one vampire can actually be used to make many different types of vampires. So that way, GMs have more license to create their own bad guys. And then, of course, they've got, just to teach how the rules work, if you don't want to have a Scion of the Gods, they give you an example in Origins, and then they upgrade it in Scion to give you Scion level.
Oh, okay.
That you can make a satyr, a centaur, a wolf warrior, or the everybody loves Kintsunai. Because, they're just adorable. And of course, you can have a human Cassandra. So they're trying to make it so that way you can have more characters of different power level working together.
Yeah, but usually in a standard party, you want people of the same power level.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, that's what I'm saying, though, is you could have a Scion. And then you could have a human who's made it from Origin up to Scion level. So he's at that level, but he's not a Scion. So he's got basically his points put into other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have the Aeolus sidekick for Hercules that still is competent and can hang and not die instantly.
True.
And they've come up with the kind of power dealio.
But who wants to play the sidekick?
Hello, sidekicks are awesome. Especially when they're not sidekicks. Superhero high. Sidekick.
hero support.
So, you think second edition Scion's something you're going to look at?
I think that it's something that I would like to dabble in and see as, playing it or crafting a character, to see how I like. Mm-hmm. But I do have a fondness for the original, the OG.
Well, see, I would say steal the setting from OG and use this one. Because one thing that they did kind of say in Scion Hero is the gods forgot how the Titans got locked up. So they're not so much worried of locking them back up as damage control. Because, of course, they know they can't kill the higher-ups Titans because that'll ruin the world.
Yeah.
You kill the Titan of the ocean, the oceans run dry. You kill the Titan of Muspelheim, all of a sudden fires go out across the world. So you need the primal Titans, but it's damage control. It's all about the damage control. So, you like the pretty covers?
I do. Well, I like that they're texture. That
they have
a
touchy
texture
feel.
For the things. And I like the cover for the origins. Mm-hmm. But I'm not overly fond of the pictures inside.
Yeah, they're pretty much like the old Scion companion guide, like you said.
Yeah, they're as opposed to the original 3 books. Mm-hmm. There was, I don't know,
style.
Yeah, it's a slightly different style.
Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely have to make up some characters and try it out. Of course, Mr. Gon, the gentleman who makes the character sheets online that you can fill out. He's got second edition character sheets on Mr. Gon's character sheets, so he's there. And for Roll20, apparently Scion second edition is available for Roll20 to play on those character sheets.
Oh,
which that could be a fun idea.
Yeah, I've never actually used Roll20. Do you realize that?
I know. I still want to get you on it. And one thing I thought of is once you have a group of players that are in Scion Hero, and you got your hero band, you could always have a session 0 one-shot where you make a bunch of Scion origin characters as the cannon fodder to start the story of here's the origin characters that run into the supernatural thing and they die or live and tell the heroes when they show up as NPCs, and then the player group
and
gets
then we
involved.
all 2-box.
No. Once you finish the session 0, the storyteller regains control of the characters. But now he knows how to play them in the roles that you put them in.
No, I like the 2-box.
So it can play out like the classic horror movies where you see the whole victimization thing happen in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then you find one of those sketchy survivors later on.
The deaths to let you know the situation is really serious.
Yep, you got to put the blood in the water, let everybody know, like Jersey Shore.
Of course, I like the 2-boxing idea, but then I'm crazy and I play a changeling bard.
Yeah,
with accents for each of the different characters, and I have 5 different personas that are mapped out, and
you still need to print the sheet of these characters.
I'm just waiting on the graphics. I'm actually commissioning some renderings, some pictures, so that when I hand these out to my other teammates, they will have a reference and a quick visual as to what that persona would look like. And you can even
put a hint of what the accent is. You're saying?
Oh no, the
bio has that.
The little mini bio for each of the personas has what accent I use for them. And I'm not crazy, no.
And of course, that game is Daggers of Freeport.
Ah, yes.
Which we've had our first session.
Yes.
And our session 0. You guys are all a bunch of nut jobs.
It's only a once-a-month game.
It's a once-a-month game, but it's a Saturday game, and it's a group of your choosing. You chose your adventure party.
I got my
VIP team.
Yeah, my my dream team.
When everyone can show up in game.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
That's always the hard part of gaming.
But I am enjoying our other new D&D game with the kids.
Which we're not podcasting, but it's a fun game.
But there's children in that one, and we don't...
At a friend's house who's very noisy with dogs and cats.
But it's their first true foray into
Their first D&D.
D&D, so it's nice.
And they're adoring it.
Yes. And they're really good at it.
Yeah.
And we really want to foster that.
Yeah. Hey, your wizard leader, he's leading you well.
Exactly.
And his brother who's playing the group's rogue has rogued the group well. No, there's nothing there besides giant angry rats. You don't need to know about those, boss.
No. He's funny.
So, 5 years since we started doing Ragnarok and Roll.
And that was our
5
first
years.
one.
That was our first one,
The
and
very
people
first.
said share more, and then we started sharing more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, boy, did we go freaking nuts. Now we've got, 3 podcasts, that a few are unfortunately in hiatus. Ragnarok and Roll and CPPN until convention season starts back up. Or RPG A Day 2019.
It's coming up.
Yeah. And actually this year for RPG A Day 2019, they changed things up where they're just giving you one-word prompts for each day.
Mm-hmm.
So on the plus side, I think what that means, instead of just doing one RPG Day episode, I should be like, as Brunhilde goes walking by, walking our newest dog
Our
outside.
new puppy.
There may be some barking.
Yes.
As I was saying, since the RPG A Day is doing the single word prompts, so like one day will be like reserve.
So, with the new RPG A Day, it's going to be a one-word prompt, and you have to basically express how that word
Fills in the blank.
Yeah.
So it could be how this in my D&D world works, and how this works gaming in general. So it's like, in my gaming group, respectful. That could be the word. So it's like, respectful. How does that translate to my gaming group? Or maybe even the lack of the word respectful.
Well, you could say, well, there was this one time where this one player who was supposed to have a pre-made, or, I'm talking about that one game where you had, I didn't hear the unedited version of that one.
Oh,
but,
that game. Yeah.
Where the person basically
didn't respect boundaries.
Completely didn't respect not only the DM, but any of the other players.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended in violence.
Yeah, well, thankfully it fixed itself.
It did, and then it was a really cool story, and I very much enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. And we had an awesome game because the GM really pulled it together afterwards.
Exactly. So, respect,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. It's very important.
Yeah. So we'll pull up the list and we'll start working on some of those. And I figure since Ragnarok and Roll needs some more loving, because it hasn't had enough loving lately, we'll do one specifically for Ragnarok and Roll, and then we'll do one for D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and the CPPN's podcast.
Okay.
So I will give you lots of homework.
Gee, like I don't have enough homework.
I will give you more gaming homework. And you will receive all the prompts. And of course, we'll share once they come up what all the prompts will be, so we can do RPG A Day 2019. Woohoo! Which, by the way, August is a busy month for us.
I know. We have the Bisbee Invasion.
Mm-hmm, for the Tucson Steampunk Society.
And my birthday.
And your birthday. You're going to be 25.
Yes, I am.
And CocoCon.
And CocoCon, our first... is it the second year of CocoCon?
It's the second year of CocoCon.
It's,
a literary convention.
Like a sci-fi literary convention. But they are going to have gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend and I are going to be running some cosplay panels.
Oh, you are? I didn't hear about that.
We're going to be doing some. We haven't decided exactly which ones yet. But we'll be doing some panels.
I asked on the Facebook page for CocoCon, which is, by the way, CokoCon.
It's in Phoenix.
Yep, August 30th to September 2nd.
We're splitting room with
some friends.
And
it's going to be fun being there the first time, because apparently I am now titled with I am the con historian.
Really?
Yes. Dee asked me to take photos, and apparently keep my photos forever and ever for her to get a hold of.
Hal and Dee Estelle run the con, I guess.
Yeah,
they're
their con.
super people.
They're amongst like 5 others that are on the board.
And we actually won tickets to it from the Dickens Tea, so we're going to use them.
Yeah.
And because our team, we came in 3rd for the table decorating contest. And those were tickets to CocoCon.
Yes, you definitely learned at the Tucson Steampunk Society's Dickens Tea, the competition has got super fierce.
Yeah, well, we set that bar.
The Kimsty girls brought it up to the next level.
Oh no, it was our original table.
Oh, Octavia?
Yeah, the Octavia.
Yeah, so the Octavia table.
It's time for tea, let's get cracking. That set the bar, and then we just kept raising it. Now, others have,
carried the torch.
And run with it.
Like nobody's business.
Magic.
So, we digress.
Yes.
5 years since we started podcasting. 5 years.
Yeah.
And Brunhilde's in the other room yelling at puppies. Or possibly your character's boyfriends.
Oh, Brunhilde, you're so lovely. Yes, I know it. I can't help it.
And it's funny. Brunhilde is hurting Hilda.
Yes, she's a brindle. So
Pitbull Terrier.
So Mom decided to name her Brunhilde.
We recently adopted her because she needed a new home. Hopefully Frey and her become besties.
Yes,
it's been a rough period.
They're working out their issues.
Territorial things.
Yeah. Very territorial.
Scion, pitch me on what our first Origins game should be. You're half asleep, so you're in that creative, beautiful fugue state. I'm gonna edit that silence out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, we had tried to do that other Scion game with the relic hunting.
The reliquary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a thing.
We could do something like that.
Now the question is, would you want to do it as Origin or as Hero?
She's a hero.
Okay, so jump straight to the hero.
Yeah, she's a Scion of Hermes, man.
Okay.
I have really yet to play her.
That's true.
I've had her written for quite a while.
Panarchy.
Yeah, Panarchy. Yeah. My hacker chick.
And just to be clear, I did back the Kickstarter, which is where they came from.
Hacker, it's hacktivist.
Hacktivist, yeah. I did back the Kickstarter. One sad fact is we do know there is a 14-page errata for these 2 books. Oh. But in all fairness, like 6 or 7 of those pages are the pre-gens that they had to do some errata on. Okay. But the errata is free on Drive-Thru RPG.
As well it should be.
Yep. So that way you can get a hold of it, no problem. And the new character sheets.
She's playing with the dog.
She's definitely playing with the dog. She's so noisy but cute. Your mom. So I just want to say thank you if you've been there since the beginning. Thank you for being with us for all 5 years. Sorry about the times we've been on hiatuses because life has been hard. Especially since all of us don't get together anymore.
I know. It's
like with Trevor's life and Trevor's
Trevor's going to be a senior in high school.
Yeah. He's too cool for that stuff.
He's too cool for us.
He only role plays with his friends, which I approve of at least. And his Boy Scout friends.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just make like a small 2 or 3 man Scion team.
Yeah, I think so. That way
a couple people can learn the rules really well and we can fumble through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's wise.
That's wise. And we
have to do the roll 20.
Yeah, we could do the roll 20. Yeah. Start with 1 or 2 people and start adding people to it. That sounds like a plan. Okay. So I gotta say, guys, if you've been with us for all 5 years, thank you. Thank you for joining us. My God, the things that I've done to them. I'm almost apologetic, but not really. And if you just joined and binged through like 200 and some odd episodes to catch up to this one, my God, you are a champion. Or goddess, you are a champion. and we promise there will be more things. I will write up some articles, probably put it on the creativeplanepodcast.com or the Patreon at patreon.com/cppn. Maybe we should do some other funky things. Like maybe I should just like get on Roll20 and roll up some characters just to show how they're rolled up.
Yeah, we can show that.
Yeah, start playing with some ideas and different archetypes. And
does it still have the original Scion character sheets too?
Yeah, it's got first edition.
I like first edition.
First edition's good. Problem is on Roll20 it's hard to do the battle wheel. Unless you make a battle wheel in the map. I mean, we physically made a battle wheel.
Yeah.
And I got
we made it magnetic so we could put it on the refrigerator.
Yep. And I'm still a huge fan of different weapon speeds because that should be a thing. Battle axes are slower than shanky knives.
Yeah.
And Barrett 50 caliber like mobs.
And like when you're aiming.
Yeah, you can choose to keep aiming to get extra dice.
Mm-hmm. And it adds to the wheel.
Do you know how they deal with complicated actions in this version?
No. How do they?
You know, in the original version, you would take your dice pool and you would break your dice pool into half. So now what you do, since they've kind of gotten rid of the stunt system, do stunts with extra successes as opposed to doing stunts at the beginning because they found out it slowed down games. You basically will take the lesser of your two skills if you're doing two things at once, roll, and then you get to pick as the player how you're going to divide those successes up. As apparently we're hearing a priestess of the gods called Freya. And you choose basically, like, say you're climbing and shooting at the same time. Are you climbing really well, or are you shooting really well, or are you splitting it evenly? So I thought that was an interesting way that gives the players more agency over the results. Oh, and Kelly's giving me the wrap-up signal. She's falling asleep as it is.
Yeah, thank you for throwing me under the bus there.
I'll edit that out, maybe. Now that I said that, it has to be on after the credits. Yes, that's what you get for falling asleep, you crazy lady.
Yeah,
so I just want to say thank you guys. 5 wonderful years. I love the fact after the first couple episodes that we were just putting up just for our own recorded history.
Yes.
Everybody fell in love with the group and said, please put more of us. And that we need to do more roundtable just talking about stuff or talking about characters. That was something that got requested. Is less real play and more roundtable stuff, which I thought was interesting. So maybe like if we start playing regularly again, we do like at the end of the game, we just do like a 20-minute chat about something. Wheel of chat. Roll a random thing. And I need you.
Or questions that are submitted.
Yeah. I need you to roll me a D8 because we still need to know which one of our patrons is winning your dice tray that you're making.
Oh, yeah. I have to.
I have my list of D8 that, by the way, I omitted both of our names from that list. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah. No.
You don't want to make yourself a dice tray?
Oh, well, I'm going to be making dice trays. But I am going to be working on a dice bag pattern to match.
Yeah.
So that once I determine what kind of style
of dice bag,
like. I'm thinking of a round, but
classic coin purse style.
Well, not the coin purse style because technically this would have a sphere on the bottom and then rectangle around and so then it kind of stands upright.
Oh, okay. You have to
out of the same material,
so it matches. So it's
exactly with the canvas on the outside, and possibly I'm talking to a friend of ours
about embroidery
because they have the ability to embroider simple images. So then maybe we can get
some stuff,
like something RPG-ish
added to it for flair.
Exactly. But I'm going to be working on a pattern. It's just that I've been working on a New Victorian hat and a Polonaise ensemble that I need for next month.
By the way, what am I going to wear to the Baroness's event?
Oh, well,
I'm talking about the September event.
Okay, September event that we're going to is investiture
are for the SCA. Friends of ours are becoming co-barons, and we are probably going to do Renaissance. Break out our Renaissance gear from the Ren Fair.
Okay.
You have your reversible jerkin.
Okay.
Or, well, it's yours more of a doublet, I guess. Outfit. So you'll be super easy and comfortable. Though we may have to get you a new Ren shirt, I think.
Maybe.
And I will go in my Ren Fair. I just have to get my Elizabethan corset back from my sister.
It sounds like the cat is losing his mind because
He wants his window open.
We should wrap this up.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you for 5 fantastic years.
Much love.
Let's hear it for the next 5.
And the next time we're on, I will roll a d8
Yep.
and determine who will be the winner.
Yes, because we need to find a winner. Dice tray dinner. Alrighty, guys. Thank you very much. And for 5 years, for half a decade, thank you, thank you, thank you. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for listening.
Hi, this is Jim from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion Hero to Ragnarok podcast, and the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And I'd just like to say thank you for listening, and may fate always be on your side.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay, so we're doing this. As the cat goes to the recorder, we all pause if he's going to knock it off.
Pause.
Pause.